I'm Kate.
I'm Ebong.
And I'm Sonya.
And today we're dishing with you from Smith Commons, which is located at 1245 H Street Northeast. And the new Smith Commons with this wonderful, exactly, brand new, with this wonderful spread of food. I mean, the culinary, if you guys could smell it, it's just absolutely phenomenal.
I asked them earlier who was Smith, and they said, we're all Smith, and that's why it's Smith Commons.
Oh, that's so cool. I mean, you have the beef carpaccio, the endive salad, you know, the scallops with nutmeg.
And gingerbread?
And ginger.
Maybe just ginger.
I can smell it. It gets so
good.
Oh, it's so good.
Love it.
Love it. All we do is want to talk about food, right?
That's right. Well, that's like
we're just talking
perfect
about
for today.
That's right, because we have a foodie extraordinaire, Nycci Nellis, with us today. Now, Nycci does so many things with food around the city. In fact, we're just going to get to it. All right. Why do you love food so much?
You know what? I sort of grew up with not a silver spoon, but maybe a spoon, fork, and knife in my mouth. I grew up with parents who just really showed me the world of dining. I'm a major cook, so is my mom, so is my grandmother. I love to cook, I love to entertain, and I grew up outside of New York City and New Jersey and took full advantage of all the city had to offer. And when I moved down here to DC, the food scene was just beginning to blossom. This is, oh my God, 18 years ago. And now, I mean, DC is just one of the savviest food cities around. There's so many good places to dine here, and I feel really fortunate. About 7.5 years ago, I started the list, areyouwanit.com. It's an online e-zine. We go out to 30,000 people. It's no opinions. I'm not a reviewer. I'm just telling you what's going on. So we have a calendar of every food and wine event going on in the DC metro area. Whether it's a gala or charity event, a wine tasting, an opening, you name it, we have it in there. And that's what we cover.
At the beginning of every year, we always hear like, oh, the trends in fashion will be this and that. What are the trends in food? Like scallops, big this year. Like, how does that work?
Well, actually, I think what's interesting with food is that I call it the trickle-down effect. So there's a lot of things that are really big right now that are going to kind of stay big, but then they're going to weed out. So things like cupcakes.
They're going to weed out?
You think? Hamburgers.
Everybody's doing cupcakes.
Well, that's my point.
So many cupcakes.
There's more new places coming to DC. 5 new hamburger places are coming in just the next couple months.
Yes.
All great stuff, all inexpensive. I get it because of the economy. But at some point, you have too much. So you have to go back to what's good. So I think some of these trends are going to shrink a little bit. But now some of these trends are just taking off. For example, beer. Beer is a huge trend. And I'm not talking about like, you know, Miller Lite. I'm talking about craft, serious beers, especially a lot from the United States, a lot from Belgium, and from all over the world. Places like Birch and Barley and Rustico have really kicked off the trend here locally. But now, even where we are today, Smith Commons, they have over 40 beers here. They have full format beers. So I think
full format beers.
It looks like a wine bottle.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Yeah.
You really are a foodie.
Oh, yeah, I know it, man.
What are you drinking?
I'm not kidding.
I'm drinky, too.
Drinky
So,
foodie.
I mean, I do think you're going to see a lot of that happening around the city. Maybe not to the expanse of some places, but you'll see more beer on the menu. You'll see more different kinds of beers on the menu, and they'll have it on draft, and people will be more vocal. They'll talk about it like wine.
And there'll be more beer pairings. I was just about to say that.
Yes.
I'm starting to see that.
Beer pairings?
Yeah,
You'll see
pair
beer
your
pairings,
beer with food.
Cocktail pairings. Those wine dinners used to be like my bread and butter. I mean, that's what I used to talk about more than anything. Now, on any given night, you have people shaking up cocktails and serving it with food and doing pairings with food. Same thing with beer. Cider, too, is also really getting to be big, too. And there's so many different kinds of cider. I'm not talking about apple cider. This is alcoholic blends. There's pear cider and these other apple ciders, but they're not that slushy, sloshy, like thick, heavy stuff. They're very clean tasting. They're very similar to wine, and they're wonderful. So I think you're going to be seeing a lot of that as well.
Okay, desserts. I want to hear what's. You said the cupcakes.
I said cupcakes. I caught your eye.
No,
You know,
I feel like
I kept thinking macaroons were going to do it, and then they've been kind of just,
You know what? I feel like everybody sort of jumped on that bandwagon. More people are talking about them. But I have to be honest, the U.S. palate is just not buying it.
And they're like 85 cents for this.
I know, and don't get me wrong, I think they're delicious.
I love macaroons.
They're fun, they're super sweet. They're not American, and I just think for a national trend, they'll stay with the elitists, they'll stay with the foodies, people will still give them out. I mean, they will. I mean, I'll admit it. It's
So
true.
she's like apple pie. Is that what we're back
no,
for? Apple pie?
Pie is going to be a huge trend this year.
Stop! How can you?
Pie
I think pie is
enormous.
You're going to go
I
in
think
and get
pie,
like, I'll have a
piece of pie, like The Waitress, like that movie The Waitress. No, I do think pie is going to be really big.
Baker Square is back.
But I do think that there are more social trends that are going to happen to the food scene that you're really going to see more of. Meatless Monday was huge this year, and it really trickled into the conscious of people who were eating. But now restaurants are jumping on board, and there are restaurants who are serving Meatless Monday menus. And Meatless Monday is all about just taking meat out of your diet just one day a week. And the economic impact of that and the ecological impact of that are fantastic. So if everybody just one day a week takes out all their meat from their diet, they're doing some real good. And it's very big in Europe, and it's really like taken hold this year. I think next year you're going to see some big things with it. Also,
I hadn't really heard about that one.
But it's huge. It's real. I mean, I think you'll be
meat
hearing.
isn't like just actual, not actual beef, but also poultry
Chicken.
and turkey and everything else.
Eat pasta on Mondays.
Yes. So basically,
pasta.
right. Well,
That'll
that
kill
was
me.
one of my biggest complaints about it. I don't want it to be carb lovers Monday. I mean, you just had this great trainer on. But it's really introducing beans, vegetation. Of course, I also think another big trend is going to be, as you see more and more farmers markets are opening up all around the city, which is fabulous. I think more people are going to be getting back to the earth. They're going to realize that they do need to incorporate more vegetables into their diet. You should be eating grass-fed meat, pastured chicken, healthy animals. Well, if you eat healthy animals instead of the big agribusiness, then you're going to have less of it. So that means you should go to your farmers markets more often, buy healthy pieces of food that come from farmers who are doing the right thing. I think you're going to see more of that. I think it's not going to be as much of a trend as it becomes the norm.
Yeah, this is fascinating.
So there you go.
You talked about when you first came here, we didn't really have that many great restaurants for you to talk about, but now here we are in 2011,
Right.
and there's so many of them. There's new restaurants opening all the time, like this great one, Smith Commons. Do you have, other than this one, because we're here and we're talking about it, do you have any other favorites that you want to mention?
Well, you know, this year, I mean, I'd rather look back at 2010 instead of talk about 2011, because you never know when they're going to open.
That's true.
But we had some great restaurants open up this year. It was really exciting. Estadio opened up on 14th Street. 14th Street is just a hotbed of activity as far as restaurants that are opening up. Estadio is a small plate Spanish restaurant. Birch and Barley opened up there too. Same with Masa 14. Great, fun, social places, serving very good food. Drinks have taken off this year as well, as we mentioned earlier. The Columbia Room, where Derek Brown is serving up, real craft cocktails. So those are some of my favorite places.
Len, let's talk about the growth of H Street, where we are right now.
This is terrific. I mean, but Smith Common is really the first restaurant to open up here that's serving sort of a higher end food. I mean, it's more, you're just not seeing this kind of cuisine here yet, so this is very exciting for the neighborhood. I think the people are really going to get behind it.
It's all very exciting, and we've been excited to talk to you. Nycci, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Our resident foodie, right
starving.
here on the District Dish. She's made all of our tummies grumble.
John's going to kill you.
And yours too, I'm sure. Thanks for joining us on this episode of the District Dish.